my dad, and that's my dad, my elder, very knowledgeable. And sometimes we know, sometimes we don't know. And when we choose to use words and to use descriptions that's synonymous to slavery and say it doesn't matter, that's the issue. Like I always tell people, I'm down with reparations. But let's just play devil's advocate and let's deal with this word we call black, Negro, color, or African American, which are all misnomers, which is synonymous to slave. The Dred Scott Law was never abolished. The Dred Scott Law was never abolished. So when we're dealing with who you are as a people in a court of law, black is civil mortis. That means dead in the eyes of the law. Latin is not dead. That's legalese or the language of the law. Just like when I speak of adverb verb, you must understand the language. So when we're dealing with this particular thing about who we are as a people, we have to come to an agreement as people. I don't care if you're Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, whatever. It's all monotheism. And if you were more, you definitely tripping because you're from the tribe of Judah, lineage of David by blood. But what we're dealing with is the facts. And the facts of the matter is we have to deal with the affairs of man. What type of American are you? An Moorish American. Where do you live? In America. These are just facts. If you don't like America, then I tell every person to leave because I love it here. There's no other place I want to be. America is the only place you can have nothing and have something. America is the only place that you have your religious freedoms. Like this is so asinine to hear, especially Moors that don't understand the law and operate outside the parameters of the law, but then want to try to use the law to defend themselves. That's like an oxymoron. That's like a sovereign citizen, which I tell these Moors. You don't want to be an American because you don't know who you are. Even with our brothers and sisters that's promulgating this black thing, you can't be for the people if you're promulgating something black. That's according to science and law means death. That black is an adjective. I have on a black shirt. You might have on a pink shirt, but we don't have on a pink or a black. We have on shirts. These are facts. These are facts. So anybody that say they're educator or anything, you're either sincerely wrong or you just flat out lying to the people. Especially if you're an educator and say you got some degree in African American history. That's why I tell all my people, this is not to get on this platform and be arguing with other people of different nationalities because the world knows this. They study you to a T. This is peer-reviewed scholarly research. Even in the biblical scriptures in the Quran, what does it tell you? If you have any doubt, you go to the scholars, the scholars of that particular science. This is what this is about. This is no makeup. It's one law, it's one science. And we as a people, which the preamble says, we the people, we have to know who we are pertaining to the laws. We are in the Constitution. So it's something that I want us to take a clear look at because I'm down with reparations, brothers and sisters. Listen to me as I say this. But no Negro, no black, no color, no African American is never going to get reparations when you identify to slaves. The only people that have got reparations for a Negro, black, or color, or African American, or anyone that identified it as a slave is the person that created you. And it's no disrespect to no one on this platform. Anybody that's a teacher, that's your mother, your auntie, and they say, well, your freedom is connected to blackness. I'm telling you, that's a lie. And then you got to start asking them what they mean. Are you talking metaphysically when you're talking about melanin? Because if you're saying that, everyone have melanin. Some may have more, some may have less, but that's not the subject that we're talking about. So your blackness can't be your key to freedom. Why? Because according to science and law, black means death. Like we hitting so many bullets. So when you get this SF-181 form, when you look at this, which most people have never even took the time to read, it's on every job application. But let's look at what it says. It says ethnicity and race Identification. I ask everyone, what's your nationality? Moorish American. What's your race? Asiatic. We agree to that. What's your status? Free white. Your status is free white. It's no argument. It's none of that. Maybe you may have a lack of knowledge, but that's just what it is. Now you see how you see on the top, it got your name and all this, your social, blah blah blah. But it got the Privacy Act. You can read that on your own. You should have, which most people haven't. But I want to get to the good part. Now, let's get to specific instructions. I just left my city, Flint, Michigan, of my parents' house, and my dad was on here. And every time we have conversations, it always leads to other things. And my mother was talking about one of her teachers she had in school. I think her name was Miss Van Zett. But it also happened to me in my academic endeavors when the teacher would tell you, read everything, the instructions, before you move on. And if you don't read the instructions, which a lot of students just went on and started doing the work, but the instruction says, read everything, sign your name, and turn it in, and don't answer anything. And everybody was getting up dances happy because they answered it. But then, the teacher asked my mother, and I'm just, throwing my little 2 cents in because I don't remember how the exact story went, was like, hey, Inez, why you're not prancing or etc. And my mom like, well, I read the instructions, and the instructions said, don't fill out anything, just sign your name and turn it in. So I always tell people, anytime when you get something in front of your face, read the instructions. What do the contracts say? See, most people just be signing things. I tell people, how do you know what it says? Do you know if it's a will and obligor? Did you read it? Nope. Well, how are you going to bring up charges on something if I put something in your face and I said, there's no excuse of not knowing the law in a court of law? And you should do things the right way because you should be competent. So let's listen to a little bit of instruction. These are specific instructions. Listen to this. The 2 questions below are designed to identify your ethnicity and race. Regardless of your answer to question 1, go to question 2. Question 1, are you Hispanic or Latino? Question, a person of Cuban, Mexican, Puerto Rican, South or Central America, or other Spanish culture or origin, regardless of race. Regardless of race. Regardless of race. Now, didn't the Moors rule Spain? Do you know what the Spanish Acquisition was all about? Do you know Mexico? When you look at in the back of the head, do you see the characteristics? It says, regardless of race, yes or no. Now it's asking you something. And when something is asked, you should know. Question 2, please select the racial category or categories with which you most closely identify by placing an X in the appropriate box. Check as many as apply. Now, listen clearly. Now, if you are more and you're under my auspices, if you're under the BBT auspices, if you're a Mufti, you know this. Even if you say you study in more science and you have a clear understanding of what's going on, if you say you're a teacher or a person of power of the people per se, and an uplifting for people that may have been, how can I say, done wrong or indentured servants, how could you promulgate some black stuff? Why don't you break down the Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15, where it says you have a right of a nationality and a right to change it? No one will be arbitrarily denied of a nationality and the right to change it, and to claim a child replaces the birth certificate. Why? No educator never broke that down, because we're a nation of laws last time I checked. Why they don't break down the religious laws of an indigenous people, where it says you have the right not to assimilate. You have the right to have your spiritual teacher. You have the right to bring back your books. You have the right to wear your native culture. You have the right to use anything in the government or anything that's taxes being paid to promote what you're doing. Why you think the Ku Klux Klan get to walk down the streets and promulgate their bull crap? Because they're a fraternal order and we a nation of laws. No matter if you like that or not. And if you don't like it, and well, you do the same. Gather. You see, we're a nation of laws. Listen what this said. Racial categories. Please check as many as possible. American Indian. or Alaskan Native. Now, if you were more, you should know exactly what I'm saying. That's why I say, how can we be confused? How can it be all these Moors all over all the world and they confused and afraid to deal with the affairs of man and know how to do things the right way? Because when we do things the right way, no matter if you know more science or not, if you have a common denominator, which who we are and reparations and get things the right way, then this is for all. Especially those that talk that reparations now, especially for those that talk that Black Lives Matter thing. This is for you, and you don't even know it. I don't care about your religion. That means nothing. I talk about the common denominator as a people. You say Black Lives Matter. Okay, yes, I agree. A certain lives matter. You say reparations now. I'm with that. But no Negro is going to get reparations. So regardless of your religion, you're promulgating that black stuff. It got to be something wrong with you. Listen, for all my Moors, for any educated brother, you should start questioning things and be like, okay, is that me? Clearly, it is. A person having origins in any of the original parts of North and South America, including Central America, and who maintains tribal affiliation or community attachment. Asian, a person having origins in any of the original peoples of the Far East, Southeast Asia, or the Indian subcontinent, including, for example, Cambodia, China, India, Japan, Korea, Malaysia, Pakistan, the Philippine Islands, Thailand, Vietnam. Listen with Black or African American. Listen clearly to the fictitious invisible man, to the fictitious spook at the door. Listen clearly. A person having origins in any of the Black racial groups of Africa. You ain't never stopped for a minute and ask yourself, what in the easy is the Black racial groups of Africa? If you got any common sense in your hippocampus in your brain, it ain't none. And you can argue with anybody all day. You can deal with these pro-Black people, with these Bashikis and talking that Black stuff and talk about freedom and stuff. Man, that's asinine. Let's go to Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander. A person having origin in any other original peoples of Hawaii, Guam, Samoa, or Somalia, excuse me, or other specific islands. Now listen to white. Clear your ears out. Because when I read this, then I'm going to go back to a topic at hand. Watch this. My homeboy said this should have been went viral. Because it was like my mama on here with her eyes buck wide open like, huh? You stupid, man. Excuse me, y'all. I'll read stuff. But anyway, white, listen to this. A person having origins in any of the original peoples of Europe. Now, the original people. So originally got to be ancient. Let's deal with ancient. The ancient and modern Britons. David McRitchie told you who the ancient and modern Britons is. The copper color races. Let's go to Europe, right? Let's go to Europe and deal with Swarty Pyatt, Black Pete. And you see the Corsica flag. Okay, let's go to Russia and deal with the Russian icon by Vladimir Ivanov. Oh, you want to deal with the Arab, the ARAP? No disrespect, not the ARAB. Bertram Thomas wrote the book The Arab. You want to get even deeper? You can get an ancient dictionary, 1825 dictionary by Vladimir Dale, and you can see what he describes of the true ancient Arab. Now, let me finish reading it. A person having origins in any of the original peoples of Europe, the Middle East. You know, it ain't no Middle East, or North Africa. Let me read that again. A person having origins in any of the original peoples of Europe, the Middle East, or North Africa. So you telling me it's a white Africa and a Black or African American Africa? Are you that stupid? I mean, come on, man. Now, this is elementary, my friend. This is not complex.
Yeah, I mean, I think for most people, if you were to see it in this particular context right here, it's pretty clear. But I don't know that. At least I remember, I don't know that they always spell them out as clearly as they do here on the SF-181, which I think allows for the contradiction to be seen a little bit easier.
I guarantee everybody, no matter when you get a form for a job, and it got your ethnicity and it got your race, and it says fill out everyone pertaining to you. I guarantee you it's on everything. I guarantee if you lose your Social Security card, or whatever, and you need to go get it when you go to wherever you got to go in your city to get it, I guarantee it's going to be on there. How I know? Because I wouldn't did it, and I filled it out the same way. I filled it out white. They can't tell you who you are. How can anybody arbitrarily explain who you are? You should know. They're
But
not the police. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Dad.
But just the definition of the category: a person having origins in any of the black racial groups of Africa. Now, what is the black racial groups of Africa? If it's not North America, North Africa, the Middle East is Africa. You know, they just turn to the Middle East. You know, like when the Asiatic people, you know, like took over that territory, but it's still on the continent of Africa. So, if an African American or a black person check that, and they ask you, where do you come from in Africa? It mentioned no mention of no country, a black racial group of Africa, and basically I don't know of any. If anybody know of a black racial group of Africa that is identified as a racial category, enlighten me.
Me too.
So reading this, you know, like we're able to put Asian, maybe, American Indian, possibly, but most definitely a white. But we couldn't put black or African American, and that means a person of an origin of a racial group of Africa. There is no black racial group identified as Africa as a racial group, none. And so, if you mark that, you marking something, you saying that you belong to a category that doesn't exist.
Islam.
I mean, that's the spook at the door. That's the invisible man. When I'm like, people be saying, I read this, I did that. I'm like, okay, so what is it saying when we put it out in law and history? Because a lot of times people couldn't go all the way there. They might not have known. So they put it, sometimes they put it in comedy, sometimes they put it in books. That's why I give credit to people before me, because they only can do what they can do. It's for us today that got the information that not only can reach back, but can take it further and be manufactured and tied together and say, thank you for getting us here. It's almost like running in a race and you in a relay with your team. Pass the baton. The baton has been passed. Like, we don't have to argue over nothing. I know who I am. But now as a people, we pick black or African American. It's not, but it's none. It's a person having orders in any of the black racial groups of Africa, but it's none. It's not even real. So how can you defend that in a court of law? How can it's almost going to the court of law knowing you lying and try to defend that? That's like contempt of court.
But listen at the word that they use. They say a person having origins in any of the original people of North, South America, the original people of the Far East, the original people of Hawaii, the original people of Europe. But for black and African American, a person having the origins in any of the black racial group, it doesn't say nothing about original or make believe. But everybody else are considered as an original people. So black and African American is not original people, according to the statement. If you read it.
Come on. Everybody
Isn't that what it says?
Yes, Dad. Everybody be talking this stuff, and I'll be like, dude, we still lost. We a nation of laws. Why are you afraid of laws? We say, oh, we always talk about the European. I say, well, what? You know so much about the European, you don't know who you are. Well, the Europeans, some $5 Indians. Okay, if that's the case, then who are you? Because I don't care about nobody saying they know $5 Indian or they know it. I don't care. I know who I am. Why? The laws tell me this. They tell me about my religious rights. Tell me about the gathering. I know who I am. It's waiting on us. It's asking you, who are you? I don't know. Well then, you're going to abide to my rules. Then you're going to try to bring me up on charges. How you going to bring me up on charges and I'm telling you how to free yourself? Are we listening? We're not listening. This is simple. We are Americans. Then it's going to be a shift. This is what it should always be, a paradigm shift. I keep telling y'all, it's going to always be someone in a dispensation that gather men and women, a fisher of men. You're looking at it. I don't care if you're Christian, Muslim, Mason. You all got a common denominator, who we are. They all talked out reparations now, and that Black Lives Matter. I tell y'all, I'm down with reparations, but let's deal with some principles and some law. Let's do something the right way. Let's stand the right way, and then we can have an agenda. Until we have an agenda as a people, it's nothing that we can talk about.
Because if anyone, like who mark Black or African American, but like it's like a subliminal message. When we see Black or African American, we assume that's our category. But when it defines the category, it said we're not an original people. We're the Black and African American is the only category is not considered an original person.
It can be. How can it be that and a Negro, a color, an African American is only as old as the person who created him? It's only as old as the so-called American. It can't be original. That's like when I've been talking about, you call yourself a black this, a black this. You can't be original. How can you be? That's why the Bible don't call, there ain't no black people. That's why I keep telling people, I say, man, you totally off when you do this. There's nothing ancient about a black person. And it's no disrespect to no one. Just like me and my dad was talking about the other day, all those panels I'll be talking about, and it's okay to talk about it because I'm not hating, because people might have seen it. It was a show with T.I., Cornel West, and Tavis Smiley, and they were on there talking about our freedom is connected to our blackness. And I say, how can you say that to a group full of college students lawfully? How? What type of sense do that make? What are we doing? Are we playing a game? What are we doing? Like clearly, and then in the same breath talk about some reparations. It got to be something wrong with your mental to talk black and reparations in the same breath.
Well, what happened? I remember we were talking about getting rid of the name, the title that they had us for Negro, and they had choose a better word for Negro, and it came up with African American. But African American is not considered an original people. Black is not considered original people. Everybody else that they mention are original. So basically, if we don't put white or American Indian or Alaskan Native, we shouldn't put anything.
Come on, Dad.
Because we're definitely not Black or African American. We're definitely not that. Like nope. We could argue about the Native Hawaiian.
Yeah.
But we definitely can't argue about American Indian. We should mark that, but definitely, and we should mark white. But
now watch this, Dad. Now we know, no disrespect to none of my European Jewish colleagues. I love my professors. Okay, when you really study scholarship and etymology of these words, what is a Jew really? What is the language? Yiddish. What, like, you can get the encyclopedias, it'll tell you it's really, no disrespect, it's really based off nothing. So if that can be said, clearly you can use that in the same perspective. Just like when I talk about a Hebrew, that means parting the sea. So when you really get the idea, that means a person can be associated with it because you're under the tenets. It's so much that we have to clearly start getting in our brain. But when we look at these things, it's nothing. It's fictitious. It's trying to defend something that has no meaning, that has nothing. And that's why I misnomer black people with that. We're going to get this lawyer in reparations now. And I always use these names like Ben Crump. I say, Ben Crump, no, Negroes can't get reparations. He might not say it all because he's under the bar. He don't have to tell nobody. He can just go with you can just pay him and he'll go with the flow. But no black person is going to get reparations. And on that panel, they talking about our freedom connected to blackness. How? And according to science and law, means death. None of them people never talk about the Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15. Obama, and some people don't like Obama. Some do, some don't. But just listen to when people throw things out there. Obama is the only president that you ever heard talk about the Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15. If you didn't hear that when he dropped that down, when he dropped that bomb, no, it caught nobody's ear. It was on deaf ears. Obama broke down the Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15, clearly told people you got a right of a nationality and a right to change it. And the claim of child replaces the birth certificate. And no one will be arbitrarily denied of a nationality and a right to change it. Arbitrary means can't nobody just tell you who you are. Can't nobody just tell you you're no slave. You have to know your history. I'm not saying there wasn't no slaves in this world or etc. But I'm telling you, I'm not. And the form is in our face. And so it's a lack of understanding. And so when I come to all my misnomer black people and they say Black Lives Matter and reparations now, I say, okay, well, what about these facts? And I say all this stuff is wrapped into law. And in the courts, well, you cannot go to court identifying something that means dead. Put dead in front of everything you call black. I'll wait. Everything that you identified to black, to ethnicity or ownership, when you put it in a perspective as person, place, or thing, put black in front of it. And put dead in front of black. Replace black with dead, because that's exactly what it is. Period. And every lawyer, everyone would know this for a fact. See? This is the agenda. And it would change the shift when we dealing with politics and things. It has changed the shift when you're dealing with census, because only thing black people get is welfare, Section 8, and some government phones, and some welfare. That's what Negroes want, and some welfare. No, what we want is to be identified as a people and pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and have equal and fair opportunity and understand the religious laws, just like the Mormons. Me and my mother and my dad, we were studying. I said, the Mormons don't deal with nothing out of their culture. Why? Because they don't have to, unless they want to, but they don't have to, because the religious laws trump all that. And this is what I be telling people as a nation. Read what a nation is. It has nothing to do with no dollar. It has nothing to do with no fiat. It has to do with your customs and your beliefs. That's why your spiritual essence means so much. That's what makes you a complete fifth. And so I wanted to just share that with my brothers and sisters today, because, you know, I had a colleague that was like, man, I heard you talking about that when you were jogging this morning, but it was messing up. And he was like, man, his mom was like, well, she was like, that just blew my mind. And she was like, we all seen it. And she was like, but now what we going to do? Just like your sheep said. She was like, what we going to do? So we have an opportunity to bring things to the table. If we care about reparations now, which I do, and if you say Black Lives Matter, which I tell you, Black lives can't matter because black is an adjective. We have to understand who we are. We have to restore ourselves back to our original state. We have to agree on some things, and then we can come to the table with an agenda. How? Because clearly, where would the slaves go if we know how to operate right? When they so-called filling out some census, or you filling out anything pertaining to ethnicity and things, when a job, insurance, whatever you're doing, when that happens, then what? The shift will happen. At least the conversation should start to happen, because the future is now.
Because once they see, you know, like on the forms or in the census, that there are no black or African American, they'll figure out, or they'll look and see where the people went, because the numbers are going to be the same. It's just going to be a different category, in a different category. So the category for racial identity as black and African American should be 0.
I'm trying to tell you. And so that's why I tell you, when we talk about your status, anything, you're white. And if you read that, if anything, if you confused of anything, you definitely should be picking white. You definitely should be picking white. But then if you have culture, if you understand, then you're free to navigate, and then you understand how I understand, because it's asking you. But if you don't have any understanding, and if you study more science and you operate and you want to correct some small things by the stroke of your pen, which is lawful, this is an opportunity for you to do that. And I'm not telling you what to do. I'm putting it in your face. I'm going, go ask your professor, go ask your teacher. If anybody on here in school, in high school, in college, and you taking African American history, you got any children and they about to bring up this African American slavery stuff, pull that out and ask those questions and see what any teacher say. See what any professor say and see what they have to say. They really can't say too much or nothing. So I just wanted to share that with my brothers and sisters, man, to challenge you, because I'm down for what we are and what we do as a people, because we are in America. But we have to have a mission. We have to have an agenda. And slaves can't demand anything. Or people that don't know who they are can't demand anything. And it has nothing to do with your religion. When you black, you're a slave, period. When you talk about the black Christian codes and all these things that was written, that you can see what was forbidden for so-called misnomer black people to do, to even assimilate, to even have me talking to you like this, it was forbidden. It was against the law. You had to have an overseer speaking to you about things. You couldn't even defend yourself in a court of law. Your word wasn't even valid. And so I just want us to understand that the future is now, and we are a nation of laws, and we are Moors, and this science is for us, and we must resurrect ourselves back to our original state. And I love everybody on here. Thank y'all for taking y'all time out y'all day, and thank you, Noble Lamarck, too.
But let
Dad,
me
you got
say that,
something?
yeah, I got something. I looked up the FS-180, and
Yeah,
and on that form, they were saying that if you have a question about something that need to be changed, that dealing with our government, you could send that question in, for a change, because that racial category of black and African American definitely need to be changed, and you have to tell them why you think that should be changed, because there is no racial category in Africa group like that, and so
nope,
that's why it should be changed. So like have the people take a look at the form, that FS-180, and
yep,
look at the question. They say that you can request to fill out for something to be eliminated. That our government advocate,
yep,
and this is one of the things clearly that need to be done.
yep, yep. It's there, Dad. Hey, Dad, like,
Yeah.
I know we were going to end, but I forgot. I want to break down just two more things before we leave about that Amazonians. I would love for you just to break that connection down real fast if you had time. I know it don't take that long for you just to break down the different names and then the origin and what it roots to.
Okay. Well, I was just looking at, just using the dictionary. Well, I'm use Google, and I know they talk about North Africa, that, even when Dwayne Wade and his wife went Africa, they said they had like a kindred spirit when they went North Africa, because that's where they say the Berbers came from, and they say at one time the Berbers existed where they call the Middle East, and they were a heavy concentration all the way up to Egypt. But one of the things that was amazing when I see the word Berber, now they use Berber supposed to mean black. So we had the Europeans come to North Africa, and we named the people Berber. But then when you find out that Berber was not the name that they named themselves, when I looked up that, they said sometimes the people called their own Indogym. And then when I looked at that word, and that means the name that the people call themselves. And then when you find out what the Berbers or the Moors, what they call themselves was Imazigans, which mean free men. So our ancestors always believed in themselves to be free men, because that's what they named themselves. Imazighians. That's Imazighen, which mean free men. So by us identifying with anything that's associated with a slave, we're doing our ancestors a great misjudgment or harm. Would not give them the respect that is due, because now here today their ancestors identifying themselves as slaves, because black African American was a substitute for Negro, and we knew there was no such thing as a Negro. Negro was a term used for slaves. So we don't want no part of a name that's substitute for slave, Negro, African American, or black. The only thing that we should be called what we've been called, like in history, were Moors. Moors been used for centuries. So now, how we don't want to use Moors, we want to use black or African Americans, and they don't even have an original homeland according to the form we just looked at. That's the question that we're going to have to ask ourselves. Are we going to become a people with an origin or with some ancestors? Because if we're not original, that means we have no ancestors. We just materialized in 1619.
Yeah, yeah, and it's all across the board. Y'all remember that black event where Jesse Jackson and I forget her name. I gotta find my notes, and I think it was '92 when they sit down and agree to where say this is what they're gonna call black people. But who put them in charge to do that? You know,
We didn't do it. We didn't do due diligence.
Yeah, who put them in
Like I
charge to
said,
do
we didn't look
that?
at what we were called at first.
Yep. And then you look at the big six, all those preachers and things that took a quarter of a million to say, well, get off the agenda. So we're talking inside. I mean, and then I'll leave y'all with this. Everybody that say they be having something and we know they don't study. Because I'm glad my dad is on here. Because a lot of stuff people be like, man, do this stuff really be happening? I'm from Flint, Michigan. I moved out here to Arizona. I have my own metaphysical temple. I have my own spiritual house. Me and my family, that was my whole idea when I came to Arizona after I got my master's degree. I'm dealing with a group of Moors that's older than me. They don't even have the Moors Quran. They just in there operating on nothing. This all fugazi. So this is what I'm telling people. I know what's going on. I've been around. I've seen it. And I don't have to say names. I'll say specific when Moors are not operating the right way. When they say they part of the temple, they teaching more science and they not speaking like this, something is wrong. Especially not trying to get nobody in trouble. We don't rock like that. But as I leave y'all with this, the Baltimore Evening Sun, once again, this is the exuberance of the nation. This is like one of the commentaries. I'm not saying everything is in here is 100%, but if you have an eye, if you are adapt, and if you need a map and a guide that decipher and bring things to you to see, you can be a part of this and come and learn. Because I teach in circles. You should want this. You don't have to spend hundreds of dollars for it. If you're here today, I have this whole commentary converted to a PDF. If you want it, if you want to give a donation for $40, you can get it from me. If you don't, I'm not talking to you. But if it means something, it should, it's valuable, you can download it on your tablet. You can go to Alphas, Max, and Staples, and they'll print it and bind it. You can have it like that. Today, this is how I give treats for things. And people can be like, oh man, it's worth something. Yes, if you want the wisdom. But on page 31, the Baltimore Evening Sun, February 3rd, 1992. Listen to this. Because this is all I'm going to break down and I'm out of here. That's why I be laughing at Morris, and I'll be like, how clearly you don't know what I'm talking about, and you say you have this. You're going to die with the keys to save you in your hand. Because they say, if you want to hide something from a Negro, I don't care if you got a fez on, do what? Put it in the book. Negroes ain't even read the Moorish Quran. And that, to me, baffles me. That's how I know your spirit ain't right. If you ain't read the Moorish Quran and read it over and over, and if you don't have the Silent Brotherhood of the East, and then you don't have all the other manuals, how can you say you got the puzzle? How can you say you're studying more science? Who's your mapping guide? Or you studying on your own? Okay, fine. But that ain't how we operate. So listen clearly. Let me put my eyes on. Listen to this. It says, the editorial Other Voices. I have a plan. Delegate Rawlings. Bill should be amended to designate an official name for Black people each month of the year. Think there isn't room in this nomenclature for here go the use of the names. Gregory P. Kane. If African American doesn't please, here are 11 more by George P. Kane. So they saying if African American doesn't please, bam. So number one, off the top, what they saying, they don't know who they are, but we've heard these things. So watch how each month what they try to say people are, and then we try to act like we don't know this. And I say if we understand this, and if people say they studying more science, I'm using this platform to bring people together. I don't care what religion you are. We got to give all that back. Listen to this. Baltimore Delegate Howard P. Rawlings has proposed a law to have Maryland's Black population referred to officially as African American. He said he proposed a law to have Maryland's Black population referred to officially as African American. Listen what he says. Forgive me if I don't emit a scream of ecstasy about the notion. At the tender age of 40, I've already been called three things: color, Negro, and Black, in that order. And I have no desire to be called something else in my lifetime. It's another book, y'all. I have to find it later and I'll share it. It's called The Evil Uses of the Word Negro. It's a little yellow book. And I broke that down. I showed y'all how people know, but they only going to be able to give what they can. It's for us to add on. And he's telling you the evil names of the word Negro, Black of color, African American, all the way back then. And still today. Look at us. Look at us. It says 10 to 15 years from now, someone else will be proposing still another change. I have a plan to prevent that. Delegate Rawlings, bill should be amended to designate an official name for Black people each month of the year. Think there isn't room in this nomenclature? Listen to this. January, official designation will be colored. It's old and dated, but we'll find there are some Blacks and whites comfortable with it. February, official designation will be Negro. This term has been discredited by Black nationalists who claim it was invented by Western anthropologists as part of a white racist supremacist agenda. When we talk about Bloomberg, that's been proven Eurocentric and Negro propaganda. According to the nationals, here's how the scam works. Any Black people in Africa who showed no sign of civilization were classified as Negro. Ain't that a bleepity bleep? They're talking about no, they said, listen to this. Any Black people in Africa who showed no sign of civilization were classified as Negro. Okay, so but what if I wasn't in Africa? But Africa never had a dark age. It was always a golden age. They were in the medieval times or the dark ages. You see this? These are facts. Blacks who were clearly just as dark or darker, who but showed signs of being civilized, were classified as Hamites and conveniently placed in the Caucasian race. So when you see research white cargo and they were white and they were slaves, you have a whole nother conversation. And then you start researching the Islamic slave trade. You'll understand what I'm talking about. You start studying the Spanish Inquisition. You start studying the Spanish Inquisition, the dumb diverses, the papal bull. You understand what I'm talking about. You have a clear understanding. That's all it'll take. We're talking about checkmates. I call this a scam because some Western writers have admitted no physical evidence of a Negro race has been found. Just like when I tell my brothers and sisters, Black was never used in first century to describe ethnicity. It was only used in theater to describe the Black curtain when the curtain came down. That's why I tell people, Black was never used. There's no Willie Lynch. Nobody in first century wrote about none of that. No history. None. Zero. All propaganda. March, official designation would be black. This term has gone from one of opprobrium to call someone black in the color Negro days could actually start a fight. So back in our mama days, in our great grandparents' days, if you call someone black or color or Negro, it could cause a fight. And today, when we call ourselves Negro or the black or nigger on something, we act like that's a word of endearment. Ain't that a bleepity bleep? Ain't that a bleepity bleep? You see how we do? We can't even call each other nobles or Muslims and understand that. We lower ourselves so low. Now, I know the history of Nagas, but that ain't what we call each other, Nagas. I understand that history, but that's not what we're doing. To one of acceptance, to one that is now longer good enough, I suggest keep it around. We may have to use it again. April, the official designation would be Afro-American. Some have objected to this term, claiming it does not adequately define blacks as an ethnic group, but it's worth keeping. May, the official designation will be African American to make the Jesse Jacksons and Pete Rawlings of the country happy. June, the official designation would be Asiatic. Listen to this. This is to appease the annoying bilious members of the set known as the Moorish Science Temple. Oh, I thought they didn't know what the Moorish Science Temple was. I thought they didn't know what Noble Drew Ali was. I thought they didn't know what we was doing was legit. That you could go to any mayor's house and ask them what were Negro, blacks, and colored called before the Civil War. And you can find a declaration and proclamation in the mayor's office because they have it. I can go even further, and you can go to the CCRD, the County of Clerk or Recorder of Deeds, and get that 101099 form that I got, that I show everyone, that tell you that ain't no trust fund at the end of the rainbow, and that sheik on there, and this sheik is some line that ain't no truth in them. It's all bullcrap. This is what I be telling people. We cannot let people lead us into a burning house and then hide behind affairs and say they owe. This ain't how we rock. We're supposed to be operating right. This is what this is about. If I understand the Dean ramblings of the temple members correctly, there is no African continent. Africa is merely part of the larger continent of Asia. Of Asia, which was originally inhabited by black people. Hence, blacks are Asiatic. There, that cleared up the confusion, didn't it? July, official designation would be Moorish American. This again would be in defense to the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, who maintain that while their race is Asiatic, their nationality is Moorish American. I say we humor them for the month of June and July, provided they shut up for the rest of the year. Ain't that something? August, official designation would be Balalian. This comes to us from the Weirdine Muhammad, who formerly was Workdeen Muhammad, who originally was Wallace Muhammad. Wallace Muhammad was Elijah Muhammad's successor as leader of the Nation of Islam, the Black Muslims, and changed the name of the organization to the World Community of Islam, and then to the American Muslim Mission. You got to understand, when Fire Muhammad came in, brothers was like, we ain't going to be, no disrespect to no one, praying to no pale bot person. That's why I tell people, and then everybody talk about this person is a mystery and ain't nobody seen him. Well, how can I be a prophet and an angel? Because I know who I am. I know who the prophet is. You see? And we always got to take signs from somebody that don't look like us to tell us who we are. Why? Why? And we got people that look like us to tell us who we are. But I don't need nobody to do that. I don't need a prophet and an angel come from amongst your own people. What are we talking about? Between all of these changes, he put forth his case for calling Black Americans Balalian, Bilal, an Ethiopian who was the Prophet Muhammad's first convert, was also the man who initiated Islam's call to prayer. In wording Muhammad's worldview, Black American converts to Islam were, in essence, issuing a call to prayer to other Black to return to their Western Islamic, African Islamic roots, much as Bilal issued the call for all Muslims hundreds of years ago. For such inspired and creative, if somewhat convoluted logic, I say reward Wardeen Muhammad for 1 month. September, the official designation would be Nubian, a term preferred by some Black nationalists in memory of the Black state on ancient Egypt's southern boundary that competed with Egypt for regional hegemony. October, the official designation would be Ethiopian. The ancient Greeks referred to all black people as Ethiopian, as the term has stuck down through the ages. As late as 1910, when black boxer Jack Johnson was pummeling white Hope James Jeffries into mass protoplasm at Reno, Nevada, and laughing while doing it. One pundit referred to the former as he's grinning Ethiopian. November, the official designation would be Kushite. Kush and Nubia refer to the same country on ancient Egypt's southern border. This term is included only as nitpick insurance for those nitpickers who are sure to moan if it's not included. And then December, official designation would be Sudanese. Hey, why not? Virtually every black American has ancestors who lived in the region of Western Africa known as Western Sudan. If US blacks want a term that defines their geographical and cultural heritage, Sudan should do as well as any other. Kunta Kinte roots fame was a Mandingo, one of the prominent ethnic groups of the Western Sudan. Now let's reverse. I'm telling you Kunta Kinte ain't real. I'm telling you Alex Haley plagiarized that from a European named Harold Colander from a book called The African. So I'm here to clear things up. I'm telling you that Kunta Kinte stuff, you need to get that out of your head. Anybody talking about Kunta Kinte as their ancestors, they a lie, there ain't no truth in them. And that's what black people do. They slaves. They gonna always connect themselves to something that ain't even real. And then Negroes connect themselves to some stupid Kunta Kinte that ain't even real. That Alex Haley plagiarized from a European named Harold Kohler from a book called The African. And Harold Colander is a lower level Freemason, just like the European that wrote The Behold the Pale Horse. If they was alive, they would not be speaking around me because they only 32 and 33 degrees Masons. And they part of the Philosophical Research Society, just like I am. I'm 99 degrees. I'm telling you, it's a certain type of wisdom that's going to reign supreme. This is no biasness. This is international law, what I'm speaking on. So there y'all have it. I told y'all. The list by no means include all the names suggested as appropriate designations for blacks, just the most prominent ones. And my plan has something for almost everybody. I will, I hope, put an end to this tedious debate now, henceforth, and forever. You know, and that's what they're saying, and it's so much more. And if Moors want the exhibit of the nation, that costs about, I think, $100 or $200. I told you how to get it from me. It's going to be a PDF, and you're going to download it on your tablet. And you can go to Office Max and Staples and they'll bind it and print it for you. Any questions? Anybody got anything? I told y'all, it'd be right in front of our face, family. So we don't have to be arguing with nobody no more, saying this and that and the other. What's the common denominator as a people, who we are? We should be standing up and coming together under something that's real, no matter what your flag is. Just like I showed when I showed about the Black Peace Stones and I showed about the Crips and the Bloods. If you understand what I'm saying, then you should understand the pantheon wisdom that I'm giving you. You should understand the elixir of wisdom, because everything in all those so-called, I'm gonna say lower level sciences that got us fighting each other is all sciences in masonry. So I love y'all, man. I give y'all gratitude and thank y'all for your time. And thank you, Noble Lamarck, for taking time out your day for doing this stream. And thank y'all, everybody, once again, for taking time out your day listening to me. If y'all need anything, y'all know how to get with me. I share my email, Goodman, KHARY, @gmail.com, and my number, 602-473-8767. Once again, y'all want this Exhumer of the Nation, I told you, but you can get it downloaded for. Get with me and I'll tell you how to send a donation. I love you and peace. Gratitude, Noble Lamarck. Peace.